Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Another tragedy. It's going to keep happening until the rhetoric stops. You've heard me say this before. Don't expect this to be the last one. Hi, I'm James Parker. Nice to meet you. How you doing? So, yeah, 2 dead, 2 injured at another attack on another ICE facility. This is the 3rd time it's happened in Texas this year, not to mention all the other violence against ICE agents that have happened in other states. And I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy that I'm right. And it's not me. I'm not saying, oh, look at me, I predicted the future. Dude, mouth breathers could have predicted this. Everybody that is being honest with themselves is predicting this. I don't know one person and Team Red Talk Radio that didn't predict this, actually. I heard a bunch of people saying, well, both sides. Stop. You have to stop. The both sides argument has to stop. The Nazi talk, the fascist talk, the Hitler talk, that has to stop. And the both sides is important because both sides, whenever you can feed that to someone who thinks, the other side's evil and Hitler, that allows them to continue that way of thinking. That allows them to not actually be self-reflective, be introspective, and say, well, maybe I should back off some of this language. Maybe there is some sort of connection there. Because absolutely there's a connection there. Barack Obama deported more people than Trump did. He's the deporter in chief. And in fact, I think he holds the American history record for most deportations. ICE agents were getting shot at then. So it's not even really about the deportations. It is about the media feeding them. It's about their thought leaders feeding them, their professors feeding them this lie that the other side's a fascist, that you're a fascist, that Trump is a fascist, that ICE is fascist. They're literally the Gestapo. And I don't blame the politicians for this. Politicians are going to say whatever it takes to get in power and stay in power. They say whatever it takes to get the people riled up and to the voting box. They say whatever it takes to stay in power and to win elections and to demonize the other side. The media is supposed to hold them to account. The media is supposed to say that is a bridge too far. The media is supposed to call them out on it. Just like the media calls out anybody who says an ethnic slur. Just like the media called out Rush Limbaugh when he said Sandra Fluke was behaving in a manner similar to a prostitute when she was asking to be compensated for her sex life. A lot of people thought that was a bridge too far. But the media is not calling them out. The media is leading the hyperbolic rhetoric. The media is right alongside with them. They're the ones who are supposed to be the guardians. Those are the ones who are supposed to moderate the public conversation. And instead of trying to throw water on a fire, they throw gas on a fire. So expect this to continue. Not shocked. Sad to say, I am not shocked. Now let's go through what we know about this. About the shooting itself, we learned most of that at the press conference this morning. You probably heard it on the Casey show, Casey Bartholomew. We learned a little bit about the shooter after this, but let's just go over it. First, I want to play for you how our mayor opened up the press conference with an invitation to prayer. I thought that was kind of nice.
Let me start off by saying that I'm a person who believes very, very strongly in the power of prayer and that prayer changes things. And so I'm going to ask everyone, please join me in praying for the families of the folks who lost their lives today. Pray for the speedy recovery for those who are hurt and were injured in what happened today.
Yeah, that's a good start. I like hearing that. Because that's the opposite of what you hear from a lot of people. What about your thoughts and prayers? People that mock thoughts and prayers. Like when they did that, they just did it a couple weeks ago. This isn't about thoughts and prayers. Screw your thoughts and prayers. Thank you, Mayor, We're starting off on that note. Being a human being for 5 seconds. Your Dallas Police Chief Como did a quick synopsis of the shooting.
Today at approximately 6:40 a.m., we received a assist the officer call. We responded to the call, got to the scene, and we later learned that we had 4 individuals that were shot, 2 of them deceased, including the shooter. The DPD was able to locate the shooter, who was deceased.
All right, so there's the quick synopsis. There was a little more that was expanded upon by the ICE director. He's over this whole region here. His name is Joshua Johnson.
Good morning. My name is Joshua Johnson. I'm the acting field office director for ICE Dallas. I'll be brief with my comments, but I do want to start off by saying thank you to the Dallas Police Department, Dallas FBI, HSI, CBP, ATF, and virtually every law enforcement officer in North Texas for your support. This is the second time I've had to stand in front of you and talk about a shooter at one of my facilities, and I think that the takeaway from all of this is that the rhetoric has to stop. There are people out there who are seeing what is being placed online, and they're coming and they're doing acts of violence against ICE employees. So that's kind of all I have for today is that.
Okay, and then the other clip here. This is Joe Rothrock. He's the SPAC, special agent in charge of the FBI office here in Dallas.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence. It is unfortunately just the most recent example we've seen of targeted violence, to include here in North Texas, where back on July 4th, we saw a coordinated attack carried out against an immigration detention center in Alvarado, Texas. What I can also share with you is that early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature.
All right, so there's the quick summary here. The guy, the shooter, dead. One other person dead. He reported 2 wounded, but I've seen some of the captions on TV say just 1 wounded at this point. I think the takeaway from the ICE facility guy, right on the money. The rhetoric has to stop. That was Joshua Johnson, by the way. The rhetoric has to stop. And it didn't. It didn't stop after Trump was shot. It didn't stop after the other ICE attacks. It didn't stop after Charlie Kirk got shot in the head. It's going to keep happening till they stop. Buckle up. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Darren Gobb. He is retired lieutenant colonel out of the military and now works for the State Freedom Caucus Network. We'll get his take on the ICE shooting, another in a long stream, just a continuous stream of left-wing violence hits in our own backyard. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. There you go, another leftist murder. This time it's in our own backyard, Dallas ICE facility. I mean, I assume it's a leftist murder. It said anti-ICE on it, so unless it's a guy who's trying to masquerade as an anti-ICE person, I don't think it's jumping the gun too much. My next guest, a guy who's proven himself good in times of pressure here, retired Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobbs back on the James Show. Thanks for coming back. I wish it was for better circumstances here. But, well, Darren, I put this not as an isolated incident from some crazy guy who's just a psychopath. This is now an established pattern. What do you make of it? Well, when you say there had to be some sort of support or help for this guy, I don't think that's much of a stretch. In total, 16 people have been charged in the ambush style shooting that happened to Alvarado ICE facility. So, do you think this is something like that? Do you think someone helped him plan it out, or do you think he was just part of some discussions in online groups, or how far do you think the planning goes? No, and we don't know if that's true, but that would make sense if it was. What did you see on his social media? The guy's name is Joshua John. Some people are reporting that he's from Fairview originally, but he's kind of moved around a little bit, and that's about all I've picked up on this guy. What do you know? Really? Sure. Well, social media is so brutal because I didn't find his page, but when I was looking for it earlier, I don't know, maybe they'd already taken it down or something. But I ended up seeing a whole lot of people who were doing research into him and then doing research into his mom and then going through his mom's social media posts and taking screenshots. And boy, for an incident that happened, just 7 hours ago or so, look at how fast we've been able to stack up the investigation on this kind of thing so far. And it's been my observation that so much of the reporting we get on this first day is wrong. But man, people just run out there and they put it all out there and they throw everything against the wall whenever these events happen. It's been real interesting to see the human evolution in response to these events. Yeah, well, I hear you on that one, Darren. It's a tough day, but that's a good warning. We should probably keep that in mind. Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb, thanks for being on the James Show again. You can find him on Substack. He's got a book out, Veritas Vincent. Go check him out online. He GAUB. It pops right up. Thank you, Darren. All right, coming up next, you're going to hear from your Senator Ted Cruz and the audio from his response this morning on the shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. Just 6 exits up the road here? We've got 2 dead and another wounded. Details coming up on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome back. Tough day on the James Show. Tough day for Dallas. Another shooting, another attack on an ICE facility, this time in our own backyard here in Dallas. We have 2 dead, including the shooter. A couple more wounded. And the situation's over. It happened early this morning, and it just lasted a minute before the guy took himself out. And we're all just trying to deal with it. Really? Another one? How many of these are we going to see? Because if you actually diagnose the problem correctly and you put it in the full context it deserves, you know what the real problem is. And it's not leftist, period. Leftists are allowed to exist. Leftists weren't shooting at ICE facilities when Barack Obama was deporting 5 million people. So they're not even legit upset about deportations. They've just had this hatred of Donald Trump, of the country, of the right wing, of you, anybody perceived to be Team Red, that's just been sharpened, like laser sharpened, like you could shave your face with it. And so this amount of hatred ginned up and pointed in one direction is my diagnosis on why we keep seeing this over and over. So we can add this to the list here. The shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas comes just not too long after we had the shooting ambush at the ICE facility in Alvarado. We had the shooting of 3 law enforcement officers at the ICE facility in McAllen. And then we can just add it to the other list of things that we've seen in the last just year or two. We don't even have to go back to when the Dallas cops were murdered at a BLM rally in 2016 or the GOP baseball practice was shot up in 2017. We can just look in the last 2 years. And you can see there's a big problem here with pro-Palestinians, blowtorching people in Boulder, shooting the Jewish diplomats in D.C., running over people on Bourbon Street, Luigi Mangione murdering the United Health CEO, 2 Trump assassination attempts, the anti-Christian mass murder at the Catholic schools in Nashville and Minneapolis, the last year's attempted mass murder at Joel Osteen's church, which doesn't make it on the list because the security guards took out the illegal immigrant trans-free Palestine activist that was trying to shoot up the Christians. So that's not going to make it on the both sides argument. You had the anti-Christian mass murder at the Waukesha Christmas parade. Antifa was rolled up in so many of these. And again in this one, much like the Charlie Kirk assassination. Messages were scratched or written on the bullets. Now, I saw the bullets because Kash Patel shared the pictures that were sent to him. And so while we don't have the motive to like absolutely 100% nailed down, it's looking like it fits in this larger context of what we got going on. One guy that does seem to get it, Senator Ted Cruz. This was him in Dallas at the press conference about the ICE shooting that happened this morning.
This needs to stop. Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong. It was 2 weeks ago today that we saw a political assassination in Utah that tore the heart out of much of this country. This is the 3rd shooting in Texas directed at ICE or CBP. This must stop. To every politician who is using rhetoric demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop. To every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop. This has very real consequences. Look, in America, we disagree. That's fine. That's the democratic process. But your political opponents are not Nazis.
Too bad we're not the ones that need to hear that message. Too bad the people that need to hear that message probably don't like Ted Cruz and wouldn't listen to what he says. We can't fix this. This isn't going to stop until they fix themselves. That's the tough part of it. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show, Stephen Williford from the Gun Owners of America. We're going to have a nice little sit down with him because there's been a lot of talk about gun control with the violence that's been happening recently, and it's going to happen after this one. Someone's not going to blame the ideology of the person with the gun. They're going to blame the gun. We'll talk about that next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, football fans. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. It's about time to set your lineup for this week because there's a game tomorrow, Seahawks and Cardinals. I got to tell you, I've been having better luck on the college side too. So, you go find some great team that's playing like the Waco Lighthouse for the Blind or whatever it is. You find the mismatches. You look for a stat that looks too good to be true, and then you just pick more or less on it. You do that for 2 to 6 players, and you have a whole lineup. You're ready to go. And you can mix and match. I did that. You could have Arch Manning on your lineup for Saturday. You can have Dak on your lineup for Sunday. And in fact, you can go not just within sports and leagues. You can go have a guy that's playing cricket be on the same lineup as another guy who's in the Ryder Golf Cup right now. So go check it out. Download the Prize Picks app. If you want a little help getting started, the max discount promotion this week is for Jalen Hurts. He only needs to get 1 passing yard during the Eagles versus Buccaneers game on Sunday. So all you really need to do is add 1 more player to your lineup. And if your pick hits, you can cash in. And you can do it with our money. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code WBAP. You get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks. Use promo code WBAP. Take advantage of the max discount. Jalen Hurts. You only need 1 more guy, and you can get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Top story, shooting at ICE Dallas facility leaves 2 dead, 2 wounded, continuing the steady flow of violence and bullets coming from the left. One of the reactions that we want them to have is to stop with the rhetoric and tone it down and stop calling people Hitler. But I think what we can really expect is deflection, both sides, and the attempt to blame this on guns. My next guest, Stephen Williford, he's with an excellent group, Gun Owners of America, one of the country's largest gun rights organizations. Welcome back to the James Show. Thanks for coming back on. And let's just point out that this shooting, Charlie Kirk shooting, both of them done with bolt action hunting rifles, not assault rifles, not concealed carried handguns, not bought with the gun show loophole. So I don't even know where they come up with this gun control angle, but you know it's going to happen, Stephen.
Yeah, they're going to ask for gun control, absolutely.
So what's your response? You have this debate more than I do. What would you say to the person that says, see, this is evidence that we need gun control? As long as you people don't control guns, you're wanting this to happen. You're allowing this to happen.
Well, first and foremost, I have actually saw some of the gruesome pictures of the guy that did the shooting, and he deleted himself as such. And by him was a Mauser 98. Model 98 Mauser, World War II gun, and it was very likely, I think, is a 8mm Mauser, and the left is saying, "Oh, these are untraceable guns." Yes, there's untraceable guns all over the United States, and you can ban all the guns you want. You'll never get the untraceable guns or.
God, Stephen, I hate having this argument with people who are arguing in bad faith. Who cares if the gun's traceable or not? Oh, how would that have stopped this?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You know, if you ban guns, you're not going to be able to find ever K98 Mauser from World War II or whatever, and the bad guys aren't going to turn their guns in. And, you know, most of the good guys like myself won't either. So what are you doing? You're disarming law-abiding citizens, which just never works out for you. And look how ridiculous this is. Apparently, he was just firing at people that he saw within a facility, and he wrote on all the ammunition anti-ICE rhetoric, and he shot detainees. You know, he didn't even shoot ICE agents. He shot detainees. The rhetoric has to come down because multiple times they said, this is the modern day Gestapo. This is Gestapo. Oh, my goodness. You know, with that kind of rhetoric, somebody mentally ill will say, oh, if I have the chance to stop Hitler and the Gestapo now, maybe I should do it. And they always talk about the fact that, you know, that Trump is Hitler and a danger to our democracy, and we don't even live in a democracy. They know so little about our form of government.
Yeah, well, the proximity to this I find a little concerning. I mean, I'm broadcasting from what I guess is about 5 miles away, so this is as close as one of these things has happened to me, unless you go back to the BLM rally that happened downtown here where 6 cops were shot. I don't even want them to bring up the gun control thing. I roll my eyes so hard at it because it dodges the real issue here, the rhetoric and the fact that it's all coming from one side. I think those were far more at fault than an antique gun that's older than my dad.
Absolutely, absolutely. The rhetoric is what's driving these crazy people to go out. And the left is mad and crazy. They are absolutely unhinged. They can't believe that they lost in an election. And, you know, the farther left they keep swinging, the farther, you know, sane people within the Democratic Party is going to say, whoa, that's not what I'm voting for. You know, and the more they lose, the more they come unhinged. And they start calling, you know, things, calling for violence. So many of them, the politicians are saying, calling for violence, and how ridiculous.
I am sad to say, we're talking with Stephen Williford from Gun Owners of America. I expect this trend to continue until the language changes, and it's not changing. I expect more of these. Am I too pessimistic, Stephen?
Well, I sure hope you're wrong, but I'm not going to say you are. I sure hope you are wrong, and I don't know what to do. I will tell you, as for me and my family, we are going to carry a gun everywhere we go. Please go to gunowners.org, sign up and be part of the solution. Start carrying a gun. Start exercising your Second Amendment. I hate to say, the world gets more dangerous. You need your own protection.
Well, your backstory on how you got rolled all into this, and for the people who are just hearing you for the first time, talk about your story from 2017.
So November 5th, 2017, and it's coming up on 8 years ago, a madman came into First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, started shooting through walls and windows of a 100-year-old church, murdering people. He moved in and started going from pew to pew. I grabbed an AR-15, a handful of ammunition, and ran across the street. He had on Class 3 body armor and ballistic bulletproof helmet. I got out. I got into a gunfight with him. He hit the truck in front of me, shattered the windshield of the car behind me, hit the house behind me, and I put 6 out of 6 rounds on him. I won the gun battle, and he lost.
That's how you do it. This is the way. This is how you stop mass shooters. A good guy with a gun. This mass shooting stopped when good guys with the gun showed up. When the cops located him and were walking toward him, he just turned the gun on himself and ended it. That's the lesson. Now, that's the lesson after the shooting already happens. What do you think the lesson is to prevent more of these in the future?
Well, like you were talking about earlier, tone down the rhetoric. Absolutely. There are people out there with mental health issues, and I understand that. And the way they talk about this administration, and they have no founding for what they're saying other than they lost the election, and they're not happy with it. And they keep cranking up the rhetoric to drive the left side crazy. And that's what's happening is they're pushing people over the edge.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking time on this terrible situation here. I hope some people are going to get the message. Stephen Williford, Gun Owners of America. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. I'd really like to have him on when it's a better situation here, but we talk to him when there's someone's coming after your gun rights. It's going to be so frustrating because we already know it's coming. We already know it's going to happen, and we already know it's false. We already know this was a gun from World War II. Does anyone have a gun control proposal that they've put on the table that would take that out of circulation? So what are they even talking about? But it's going to happen. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. More on what we know about the shooter at the Dallas ICE facility this morning. Coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Top story, the shooting at the Dallas ICE facility. 2 dead. Well, 1 real person dead. The gunman killed himself when the cops located him and went to take him out. We have 2 wounded. Some people are reporting 1 wounded. Doesn't really matter. We have another in a long stream of left-wing violence that's happening. Matt Walsh, the guy that did Am I Racist and What is a Woman? Remember those 2 movies? He tweeted something interesting 2 hours ago. He said President Trump should declare a national emergency due to rampant, out-of-control left-wing violence. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. But I think I can make a pretty good argument for either side of that. Generally speaking, no, I don't think there should be a national emergency. Because what are you gonna do? You just gonna start arresting all Democrats? No. What are they gonna do? They're gonna go after the funding of Antifa? It's a decentralized, non-official organization here. You can cancel their bank accounts. It's not gonna do anything. They'll be able to hide their money. They'll be able to move their money. They'll be able to use crypto to get around it eventually if they're smart. So no, I don't know if that would help, if that's the right thing to do, because is it going to make everyone stop calling you Nazi? Is it going to make everyone stop calling you a fascist or someone who supports a fascist, literally Hitler? Because if it's not going to do that, then we're just expanding government power in an emergency when we don't need to. On the other side of that debate, I can make a pretty good case on we do have a national emergency with out-of-control, rampant left-wing violence. Because the shooting at the ICE facility that happened in our own backyard, 5 miles away from where I'm at right now, this morning, that's the 3rd one that happened in Texas this year. We had the shooting ambush at the ICE facility in Alvarado, where like 9 people participated in the shooting. 16 total people have been rolled up and charged with different counts of being an accessory or helping the plan or helping them afterwards. 16 people. That's a lot. This isn't a mental health issue. This isn't a gun control issue. If it was a mental health issue, you couldn't find 16 people who all had their delusions arranged facing the same direction. That's not really possible. These are people who are not psychos. They're not imagining things. They're being told untrue things. See, the media is imagining these things and putting them in their head. Politicians, I expect them to do that. But just like the media would come after me or anyone else who said the N-word in public discourse, we need to see the same sort of treatment for Nazi, fascist, Hitler, all this extreme stuff. Racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, Islamophobe. You're always being called demeaning, dehumanizing, evil terms. And you just take it. Stop. Because it's not just about ICE facilities, and it's not just about immigration. It's pretty much any issue that they feel strongly on, there has been violence about it. When it comes from, like, another thing, they're not just against ICE. They're not just pro-illegal immigrant. They're also pro-Palestine. How many Palestinian attacks have we had this year? I can count 3 just off of my memory banks here. The blowtorch guy in Colorado, the guy who shot the 2 Jews outside the museum in D.C., and the Free Palestine guy running over people on Bourbon Street. I guess you could throw in the Free Palestine angle on the lady or the trans, I don't even know what they were, tried to shoot up Joel Osteen's church last year, because Free Palestine was written on the gun, but she was also an illegal immigrant, so you could roll that into it, and trans, so that checks like 3 boxes on the pamphlet. But we have seen, even if you take it down a level, from shootings and blowtorching and running over people with cars, there's been like the rampant violence of just everyday lefties, not even psychos or psychopaths or sociopaths. We're talking about the people that were firebombing Tesla dealerships, the hundreds of people you saw scratching Teslas with their keys. We do have an issue. I don't know if a national emergency is the answer, but there's definitely an issue. You could take the anti-Christian angle. because there was the mass murder at the school that just happened in Minneapolis. The anti-Christian, that's another angle for the Joel Osteen shooting. Anti-Christian mass murder at the Catholic school in Nashville. That was a couple of years ago. So, yeah. There's no question half of that statement is right. We do have an issue with rampant, out of control leftist violence. But do we need a national emergency? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show, Chris Putnam, CEO of Dallas Express, is going to give us the local media's update on what we know about the shooter and the shooting at the ICE facility that happened this morning. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Sorry if I'm not my usual chipper self, but we have just another and a long stream, just a constant, steady stream of left-wing violence, except this one happens really close to home, 5 miles from where I'm sitting right now. This morning, Dallas ICE facility was ambushed and shot up again. That's the third time it's happened in Texas this year. And they're not getting the message. The people that are inciting this violence, the people that are convincing these crazy people that they need to go take out the fascists that are ruining the country and taking them over and trying to genocide them or whatever the heck the hyperbole is, you know it needs to stop. I know it needs to stop. It's not stopping. So I'm not surprised by this. You're not surprised by this. In fact, more bad news. I expect this to continue. Now, before we make too many conclusions here, let's see what we know about this shooting and the shooter. To help me with that, local media outlet DallasExpress.com. I have their CEO on with me now, Chris Putnam. Hey, Chris. All right, so what do we know about the guy that did the shooting? This Joshua John. First off, I don't think I've ever seen John spelled Jahn, but other than that, what do we know about him? Do you mean anti-Second Amendment? Yeah, you're talking in internet shorthand. Yeah, we're having a voice conversation. You have to use the whole words for some people. That's all right. Because they're rolled up in both the Alvarado attack and they have done events and I don't know, commiserated with some of the groups that were that the Utah shooter was part of, the Charlie Kirk assassin was a part of. Yeah, so they're already rolled up in two of these. Is there a connection here, or do we even know that yet? Well, I find the mental illness, we have a mental health crisis approach to this just quite abrasive. If it was mental health, there wouldn't be so many similarities. When there's a pattern like this isn't just crazy psychotic people randomly lashing out. I mean, this guy, like the Kirk shooter, he tried to get away. There was a little bit of planning there, and he wasn't shooting Charlie Kirk because he thought he was Napoleon. He was shooting Charlie Kirk because he believed what the people on TV were telling him. Well, what they're trying to accomplish is scare people that support them into hating people like you and me so they don't listen to us on the issues. If you're facing Hitler, you're not going to debate him on his social security reform. You're not going to debate him on the debt ceiling. You're going to fight Hitler. And so once this rhetoric takes hold and seeps in, then not only have you won the argument, you've won every argument from here on out. Once you can convince somebody that you, me, and the guy listening to us is literally Hitler, then how on earth do you turn that person away from a Jasmine Crockett or away from an AOC or away from, the people who put that in their heads? They think that they've got some inside information and they're just acting as a rational person would in self-preservation once they believe this crazy stuff. Now, if that's all true, Chris, then the solution is we have to get them to stop calling us Hitler. The thing I don't know, Chris, and is totally out of my control, how do we get them to stop calling us Hitler? Totally agree. All right, we're talking with Chris Putnam, CEO of Dallas Express. We'll continue with him after the break, filling out some more of the details on what we've learned about the shooting in the last few hours to keep you as updated as possible. If you want to read the articles he was talking about on his website, go to dallasexpress.com or just keep it right here on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, continuing with the CEO from the Dallas Express, Chris Putnam. Dallas Express is the local newspaper of real record in my book. Thank you very much for sticking with me here because I like what you're doing on Dallas Express right now, where you're connecting these incidences. The guy that did the shooting at the ICE facility today in Dallas. Let's put that in the same storyline as the one that happened in Alvarado and the one that happened in McAllen. And, you know, there's actually some updates this week. The one guy from the Alvarado shooting that made bail got rearrested on, what was that, Tuesday or Monday? And so you guys are reporting on that. We're not even done with that shooting and parsing through all of that before we have this one. And I think that speaks volumes into how much this trend is a real thing. These aren't disparate one-off crazy people who happen to be left-wingers. We now have a pretty steady stream going here. Oh, yeah. You know what? That. Yeah, that's a good pickup there. This guy rode on the bullets just like the Kirk shooter, so there's a lot of overlap with that. And it was like single shot rifle, 30-06 bullets, bolt action. There's a lot of connections to that too. Which again, Elm Fork branch of the John Brown Gun Club. Yes. All right, Chris Putnam. The next thing I want to ask you about here, and maybe I should talk about this on Dallas Express. I saw a tweet from Matt Walsh, the guy who did Am I Racist and What is a Woman? Check this out. Just bounce this off of you for the first time hearing it. He said President Trump should declare a national emergency due to rampant, out of control left-wing violence. Your thoughts? Mm-hmm. But I don't know what they could do. How do you stop air quote left wing violence? Because it's an amorphous blob. It's not like one group or even one part of the ideology. The Free Palestine people are killing folks. The anti-ICE people are killing folks. The Antifa people are killing folks. The BLM people are killing folks. There's other blue-haired spheres that I don't even know what they're into, but they're setting fire to Tesla dealerships and they're shooting up churches and schools, and I don't know what a national emergency would do to solve that. Well, and then he didn't apologize either. He didn't learn his lesson, and so therefore the people that listen to him are going to maintain the mindset that they're literally fighting Hitler, and there wasn't a proper apology. So I don't think we're. Go ahead. I'm just kind of out of time. You got 30 seconds. All right. We'll have to cut it off there. If you want to hear more from Chris Putnam, you should be going to the website every day anyway, DallasExpress.com. Thank you very much, sir. Coming up next, Lieutenant Randy Sutton from the Wounded Blue. He has a charity that takes care of injured and disabled law enforcement officers. We'll get his take on the latest attack on ICE that happened in Dallas. 2 dead, 2 wounded. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Man, this Dallas ICE shooting's got me shook. Probably has you shook. Think about this. What are our neighbors who are cops and ICE workers in some form of law enforcement, sheriff, deputy, whatever it is? How do you think they feel about this? How do you think, do they think this is just a one-off? Do they think this is just, oh, this is the exception? Are any of them being shot by right-wingers? Any of them being shot by some subgroup under Team Red? Man, what's going through your mind? And if you want to call in and share, if you're a cop listening, I have a friend, Heather, who works for ICE. I wonder if she's listening. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is not fair for them. These are people who are doing a job. It is a noble job. There's nothing unethical about enforcing our immigration laws. It's something every country does. And they're getting shot for it. You know, it's already a dangerous job. But we don't even talk about the ICE agent who got killed in Oklahoma this summer. He got shot trying to take an illegal immigrant into custody. This wasn't an ambush shooting by a lefty. This was an illegal immigrant who didn't want to go home. And so to try and avoid custody, he tried to shoot his way out. ICE officer lost his life. And it barely makes a blip in the news. That's terrible. Do we not care? No, you and I care. But the media realizes that would make ICE sympathetic. That would make ICE human. That would make people concerned for the well-being of ICE. That would prove to people what a noble profession it is for these people to wake up and they put on their boots and they go to a job where they could get shot at. I don't have a job like that. No one shoots at talk show hosts. Well, not yet. I will take that back. Charlie Kirk was the radio host. Did y'all even know that? Did y'all know he was syndicated nationally? I don't think he was on in Dallas. But man, maybe I should be worried. But no, I thought, don't forget about your cop friends out there. They're not going to gripe about it. They're probably not going to post anything about it on Facebook. But if you're friends with one of them, if a cop or ICE agent or anything up and down the law enforcement spectrum, if you're friends with one of them, related to one of them, married to one of them, send them a little note. Just kind of remind them, hey, we all don't think you're literally the Gestapo. And cops, even if you don't get that text, even if you don't get the call from your friends or your family or your neighbors or whatever, just know that most of us are overwhelmingly on your side. Most of us realize this is a huge travesty and you do not deserve this. You didn't do anything wrong. And here you are, continually getting shot at. Do you think the ICE officers out there, do you think they have anyone in their ranks going, well, we have a problem with violence coming from both sides? You think any of them are saying that? I seriously doubt it. But again, here's the even worse part. I just want to be honest with you. This is not happy fun time for me. This is going to continue unless we see a stark change, which I doubt will happen because we haven't seen it yet. Expect more. And the media knows that. I'm not saying anything genius here. You know that. I know that. They know that. They just don't care. They don't care if they're inciting violence. What they care about is fighting literally Hitler. So either they're duped into thinking they're actually fighting Hitler, or they're actively deceiving people into thinking they're fighting Hitler for political power. It's pretty gross stuff. But that's the real truth. That is the big, fat, ugly truth that no one wants to talk about. This guy is not going to be the last. This shooting at the ICE facility is not going to be the last. When is it going to be the last? I don't know. You saw Jimmy Kimmel last night not apologize. He said some nice things in there, but clearly he didn't learn his lesson. You saw the Dallas Morning News. When they did the breaking news bulletin at 8 a.m., I got an email because I'm on their list. Our boss had already emailed everyone 15 minutes before I got this email from the Dallas Morning News saying there was a shooting and it was a fatal shooting. The release I got from Dallas Morning News was downplaying the ICE ambush this morning. It said heavy police presence reported near Dallas ICE offices. A heavy police response was reported Wednesday morning near the Dallas ICE field office. More than 40 units were responding to the scene in the 8100 block of North Stemmons Freeway in the Stemmons corridor. This is a developing story. Check back for updates. You knew damn well it was a shooting. Why wouldn't you include that? It's journalism. Who, what, where, when, why? You weren't even close. Yeah, there was a heavy police response. Why? Why? Were they there to get an autograph from Gabe Kaplan? Or was there a shooting? Who did the thing that brought them here? We already knew about, the cops already knew about the writing on the bullet. So all you had was the where. You had the when, to be fair, W-H-E-N. You had the when, to be fair, but you didn't bother with the why. You didn't really bother with the who. You didn't bother with the what. So no, I don't expect things to get better. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show. Hey, folks on Team Blue, are you sure you're still the good guys? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Top story of the day. Easily the Dallas ICE facility getting shot up, continuing a steady stream of violence in modern America that, I don't think any of us are fans of this. I don't think, aside from the people, the handful of ghouls that are actually part of these events, I don't think anyone likes seeing this on the news. But the new concern here, what do you think about your cops? And I mean your cops, your Dallas cops, your Collin County deputies, your friend that works at ICE. I mean, hell, I'd be concerned about anyone who's anywhere in the law enforcement chain up and down, whether it's Customs and Border Patrol, whether it's ICE, whether it's a policeman, whether it's a sheriff's deputy, whether it's a DPS trooper, Texas Ranger. All you guys, what's going through your head? So let's talk to Randy Sutton. He's a guy from the Wounded Blue, a charity who improves the lives of injured and disabled law enforcement officers. As a retired law enforcement officer yourself, this is what you've dedicated your life to. First off, welcome back to the James Show. What's going through the head of a law enforcement officer on a day like this? Well, when you hear the national outlets, Randy, talk about this, they'll bring up the ambush that happened in Alvarado, maybe the one that happened in McAllen this year. But I don't think the cop ambush murder that happened last year here in Dallas gets included on any of the national lists. But I don't forget that some guy ambushed and killed a cop last year, tried to get away with it based on the same sort of anti-cop rhetoric that is motivating some of these guys. So that, I mean, it's even worse than the national media puts it if you include the local stories. All right, Lieutenant Randy Sutton from the Wounded Blue. What can the person listening do to help? Thank you very much, Randy Sutton from the Wounded Blue. Appreciate your input. Tough day. Okay, coming up next, we're going to talk to Renata Castro. She works at a full-service immigration firm, USA for All, and get her take on this. Because the other people that I think are really concerned about this situation is, what if you're a legal immigrant? You've got to go to the ICE facility to, I don't know, fill out some paperwork or go through the process or whatever. Do you have to worry about dodging bullets too? We'll talk about that next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. The shooting at the Dallas ICE facility leaves one immigrant dead, 2 others wounded, and the shooter took himself out. So the body count's at 2, but it's just the latest in a string of attacks and trying to put this whole story together. I think one of the people lost in the shuffle, we already covered the cops who are probably having a special concern about an incident like this. Let's look at the other side. The immigrants, the people who actually have to go to the ICE facility, they're probably looking at this with some special concern. And so to help parse that out for me, Renata Castro is coming back on the James Show. She's an immigration attorney from USA for All. And no, not that immigration attorney. The one that we like is Renata Castro. Welcome back to the James Show. So what does this look like from the point of view of legal immigrants in America? Do they have to worry about going to an ICE facility now? So should legal immigrants be doing anything different in the light of this tragedy? So what happens at this facility? I used to work over there. In fact, I had 2 different jobs in that tight little neighborhood there. That's not a detention facility, is it? That's just like a processing facility. I don't remember seeing any jail set up there. Well, that's a good point. All right, Renata Castro, if someone needs your help, where do they find you? Thank you very much. Yeah, so that neighborhood, if you're not familiar with where this facility is, I used to work over there, and like 23 years ago, I had gotten a job that's just on the other side of 35, like Metro Media and 35. It's just a tiny little road there. There was a radio station over there. And then again, I worked where the split is, where 35 and 183 split. You know how Mockingbird hits right there, and there's that white building that says like Domingo Garcia Law Now or whatever. So that's just 3 buildings over from where the shooting happened. I worked there for a little while too, more recently, from 2020 to 2023. And I don't know if more security is the answer. You know, if you have more security guards, how's that going to stop a dude getting on one of the buildings that's around there? Because there's all kinds of buildings. And what would more security have done? Would more security have stopped that? Stop what happened today? I don't know. What kind of security would it have to be? Do we leave them? Do we have to make bulletproof vans now? Do we have to do, they have to go outside at some point. We can't keep them inside at the entire time. What are we going to dig a tunnel from the jail to this center? No. So no, there's no easy answers here on how to, keep people safe from crazy lefties that are going on shooting sprees because they're worked up thinking they're literally fighting Hitler. I don't see any other thing that's going to do a whole lot to tamp this down and pour water on it other than stopping the rhetoric, other than dealing with the people that are pulling the trigger. And a lot of people were getting on social media this morning saying, oh, look, it's another white male. We have a problem with white male shooters. Can we stop at the race stuff? Stop at the gun stuff. This is an ideological battle. The guys that attacked the ICE facility in Alvarado, that wasn't all white guys. Some of them were, there was like a Hispanic dude in there, the one that got rearrested on Monday. Benjamin Song, the guy that pulled the trigger, that hit the cop in the neck. He's of an Asian persuasion of some sort. One of the people getting arrested was a woman, Rebecca something or other. So no, get off the demographics. Get off the race. Get off the guns. It's not these incidental traits why this is happening. Not if all the bullets are coming from the left. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we'll review the audio from Senator Ted Cruz and his response to the ICE shooting that happened in Dallas this morning. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. It's your chance to win part of 5K a day on WBAP. Your chance at $1,000 right now. Pay off some bills. Just text PLAY, PLAY, to 95819. That's PLAY, PLAY, to 95819, and you could score $1,000. Sponsored locally by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm. Good luck. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. We've done a lot of these emergencies now on the James Show. We've done a lot of these politically motivated, ideologically backed, violent episodes on the James Show. And I think we get it. I think you get it. I think even Garrett gets it over there on the other side of the glass. I don't think we need to learn any lessons here. I think the scariest part going forward is the people that need to change their behavior aren't listening to this show. They aren't listening to me. They aren't listening to you. They aren't listening to, are they getting it from social media? Is someone in their orbit? Is their spouse or their brother-in-law or their dad or someone having a talk with them right now? Because you've got to start asking yourself, how many of these incidents have to happen before the people on Team Blue say, hey, Team Blue has a problem? Because it's not infinite. For some people, it's infinity. They're totally incapable of any sort of self-criticism. I've known people like that. It's sort of one of the symptoms of narcissism is if you're incapable of self-criticism. But most of them aren't narcissists. Most of the adherents of Team Blue are reasonable people who can be reasoned with, who doesn't matter what I say or what you say, they're not going to pick up a gun and shoot. But the other people on their team are like that, and they won't listen to me. They will listen to you, Team Blue member who is sane, Team Blue member who's not seen as a Nazi, racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, literally Hitler fascist. Until they start speaking to the bad actors on their side of the aisle, expect this to continue. And look, I'll give you some examples of people who get it. Shane on Facebook sent me a message. It said, I truly feel the endless nightly left-wing propaganda and anti-Trump rhetoric is what's fueling the current violent attacks on conservatives and ICE, etc. These late-night propagandists masquerading as comics spew this hate 5 nights a week, along with the mainstream media's endless hateful rhetoric. This endless propaganda is affecting weak, low IQ minds across America and around the world, creating the present atmosphere. The only thing I disagree with that on is they're not all low IQ. There's no real correlation with being high IQ and not being duped. High IQ people get things wrong all the time. In fact, you can go take 2 people with 140 IQ. Go look at that crowd. Some of them are going to believe in capitalism. Some of them are going to believe in socialism. The other thing is, yeah, I mean, the nightly left-wing propaganda and anti-Trump rhetoric from the talk shows, the late-night hosts, I mean, that's part of it. But that's also, you got to couple that in with pretty much every show on Netflix that has a political bend. All of CNN and MSNBC, all of the news programming on ABC, NBC, CBS. The overwhelming majority of academia, the overwhelming majority of celebrities, like actors, when they're in interviews, you don't care what Seth Rogen says to Charlemagne the God on The Breakfast Club. You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? But this is where some of these people, they have influence, and it stinks. But I don't think you can isolate it or separate out the late night talk show hosts. And if we fix all the late night talk show hosts, that's not going to fix the problem. Another person that gets it, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz's words this morning are exactly what I was thinking, and probably half of Dallas was thinking after the shooting this morning.
This needs to stop. Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong. It was 2 weeks ago today that we saw a political assassination in Utah that tore the heart out of much of this country. This is the 3rd shooting in Texas directed at ICE or CBP. This must stop. To every politician who is using rhetoric demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop. To every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop. This has very real consequences. Look, in America, we disagree. That's fine. That's the democratic process. But your political opponents are not Nazis.
Yeah, I get that. You get that, but we don't need to get that message. And the people that do need to get that message aren't listening to this show. So we'll just wait around and see. You know, we can only be nice for so long. We can only sit back and take bullets for so long. The question is are they ever going to correct themselves, or are they going to have to be corrected? Because if they're going to have to be corrected, then the idea that Matt Walsh mentioned earlier about maybe we need a national emergency, Trump should call a national emergency to crack down on the steady stream, the out of control left-wing violence, politically motivated violence. Well, that makes that whole endeavor a little more likely, doesn't it? Well, that's kind of scary. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up on the James Show, I'm going to read a couple emails and messages of people like you who are listening and giving their thoughts on the shooting that happened in the Dallas ICE facility this morning. One detainee, one immigrant dead, 2 immigrants wounded. The shooter took out himself, and we're just trying to figure it out on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We're just getting through a tough day because there's 2 dead, 2 wounded after a sniper attack on the Dallas ICE facility, about 5 miles from where I'm sitting right now. One of the guys deceased is the shooter himself, so no love lost there, but terrible tragedy for the other 3 people. I've got some great feedback. You know, when you live in a metropolitan area of about 8 million people and you got about 100,000 listeners, some of y'all are smart. That's just the odds, right? So a couple pieces of feedback that I think you would appreciate. Number one, Lawrence said that he sent the email to James at WBAP.com if you ever want to email me. He said, I'm old, 65. Back in the day, a suicidal person died alone. Now with social media, they are encouraged to take as many of their enemies with them. Huh. Now, and I pause because I'm thinking about that. You know, we didn't have social media back in the day, but we did have suicidal people go out in crazy fashions, crash out and try and take some people with them so they could make it into the news. So I don't know if I agree with that. But I do have to think about it because you're right. They didn't have social media back in the day if you were suicidal. Maybe I would agree with they're more likely because of social media to do something public. I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. I like emails like that where I don't have the answer and I actually have to think about it. I think that's good stuff. And then CJ in North Richland Hills, thank you for including your location, sir. He said, God bless all our law enforcement folks. We have to figure out how to weed these mentally ill people out beforehand. Wish I had the answer. Lack of respect, no consequences, and the internet are literally killing people. Well, I'm always hesitant to go down that road because how do you weed out mentally ill people? You know, because that term, I assume, means arrest them, detain them, put them in a facility, whether it's a jail or a mental facility or one flew over the cuckoo's nest or something like that. Beforehand is the problem. How do you infringe on someone's rights if they've done nothing wrong? I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying I don't have the answer to that. I wish we could. No one's been able to give me a program or a process by which we can weed out mentally ill people before they commit a crime without violating constitutional rights. I am all ears, though. If you can figure that out, I'll definitely read your email on the show. You probably get the Nobel Peace Prize. This is Joe in Grapevine. You're on WBAP. Hey, Joe.
Hey, James. Honor and privilege as always, sir.
Thank you.
James, in my opinion, and I agree with a lot of what you said, you did real great beginning of the show of giving a rundown of all the leftist attacks, whether it be ICE or Charlie Kirk or whatever, and the rhetoric that's been talked about. But in my opinion, and I think a lot of people will agree, and some sure will not agree, this is coordinated. This is planned. They know exactly. When I hear people say, oh, I can't believe they don't understand, they don't see, they know exactly what they're doing. They know that they couldn't convince the American people about illegal immigration. They couldn't convince us about how they were going to improve the economy, about international affairs. We could go down the list. When they talk about the First Amendment, but yet they leave out what Charlie Kirk was doing, but yet they talk about Charlie Kimmel. It's like anything with First Amendment or Second Amendment, what they try to do is distract. Like the recent information, I apologize to the audience and you, James, kind of skipping all over, but all of this, every bit of this is encompassed. This is all coordinated and planned. They know that James Comey is going to be indicted for, I guess, perjury or something, which he should be. But they know this information, indictments, they know all this stuff is coming down, and what the great things that Charlie Kirk did, they're trying to put a damper on it. Everything that President Trump has done, they try to go against it. They have no new ideas, just criticism. They know exactly what they're doing, and all of it, the only thing you can do, just like you did, is not let them forget what they have done, what Doge found out, what we found out, the weaponization of our highest officials in this government. That should be brought up every time it's mentioned. Hillary Clinton today, she was talking about, the First Amendment and how, the government was pressuring NBC or whatever about Jimmy Kimmel. But yet, this is a woman that started the dossier to create a false narrative against President Trump that tore this country apart. And she's talking about her First Amendment, the same information that came out. Was she on whether they said she has to be highly sedated, either in laughing episodes or deep depression and anger? I mean, where was she at today when they had her on the air? We could go over so many things on what the left is doing. And don't you, and you're great about this sometimes, James, you don't let certain callers, as you did a black gentleman, it was a few days ago, and you just threw out a long list of things that the left was doing, hardly nothing the right was doing. You keep doing that, my friend. Don't let them forget and try to control the narrative, because in entertainment, in the news media, in our officials that's supposed to be leaders in our communities, such as our congressmen and senators, they are creating this narrative and distraction. Everybody out there, don't let them forget all of what they've done and what is coming down and what we're going to be finding out. And I can guarantee you, and you wait and see, there's going to be indictments. There's going to be more information coming about the corruption. And get this, James, if you didn't already hear, of course, they claimed that FEMA money wasn't used for illegals. I just found out a few days ago that the other countries were sending illegal immigrants here cards, money. So instead of the government doing it, so the question I have is, was this the money that the non-government officials that they were giving to, they couldn't account for, and they went to a country, and what did it do? Just come right back around so that they could fund this illegal invasion. I'm sorry.
No, that's great, Joe. I really appreciate the kind words. I get it a lot in emails and stuff, and I never get tired of it. But also, my violence list, my attacks of liberal violence list here. I don't have like an official list. I keep a Google Doc over here because it comes up on the show so much. Do I need to put that on the website or something?
I think you need to.
All right, I'll look into that.
Great about it.
Thank you, Joe and Grapevine. All right, maybe I'll get to that and I'll announce on the show when it's up and ready to go, because I've gotten other compliments on that list too, and I don't think it's anything special. I'm just compiling a list, but cool. Phil Temple, you're going to be the last word on this. Only got like 20 seconds though.
Just the thought that we have to get security for any type of law enforcement, that should be a wake-up flag.
Right, they're already carrying guns. See, but Phil, what security guard would have stopped this? What security measure would have stopped this? Not a gun-free zone, not more security guards, not a perimeter fence. It wouldn't have stopped this. So, I mean, I hear you, we need more security, but what does that even look like? No, I don't think we need more security. I think we just need leftists to stop shooting at us, and we need to stop being called Nazis, fascists, and literally Hitler, because some people are believing them and they're acting accordingly. All right, tough day. Thank you very much for hanging out with me tomorrow. Let's try and have a more upbeat show for Thursday's edition, all right? Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.